Listen, man, what the Boston Celtics did last night was an insult to basketball.
19 of their 20 field goal attempts were threes in the third quarter.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the stupidest damn stats I ever heard. 19 out of 20 shots are threes.
11 of their last 13 shots. Brown with the three.
So they've had to deal with all these types of injuries all season long, and they still had the third best.
They got what they deserved. They played stupid. I don't know any other way to say it. They played stupid. And there's nothing more frustrating as an onlooker than to watch a team that is more intent on winning its way than winning, period.
They played offense like there was 3 seconds left in the game. Every guy that caught the ball.
Number 20 in the regular season in the NBA. 2-point shot.
No need to panic. There's a lot of time left in this ball game.
Right for three. No. Rebound. Holiday controls. Spinning three. No.
Listen, man, what the Boston Celtics pulled off in Game 1 wasn't just bad basketball. It was basketball malpractice. 19 of their 20 shots in the third quarter were threes. That's not offense. That's target practice without the aim. And I get it. It's 2025. We live in the era of pace, space, and analytics. Everybody's launching threes, hunting matchups, trying to crack the math code. But there's a fine line between modern basketball and mindless basketball, and Boston didn't just cross that line. They sprinted past it like they were late to practice. 63 threes in a playoff game out of 97 total shots. That's not shot selection, that's shot addiction. And let's not sugarcoat this. The shots Boston was taking, these weren't good looks. These weren't clean catch and shoots off slick ball movement. Nah, these were step backs, heavily contested prayers, and heat checks when nobody was hot. That's not spacing the floor. That's spacing your chances of winning right into the trash. And look, I know some people are going to say, well, that's their style. Live by the three, die by the three. But let's be real. When you go 19 for 63, that's not living or dying. That's just self-sabotage. That's like going skydiving and forgetting the parachute, and then saying, it's just my playstyle, bro. And let's talk about the timing. Because Boston wasn't down 20 points. They weren't desperate. They weren't scrambling in the final minutes. But they played offense like there were 3 seconds left on every single possession. Brown hoisting threes like he had a plane catch. Tatum jacking shots like it was the All-Star game. Drew Holiday spinning into defenders like his controller disconnected. Over and over again like the game was stuck on repeat. And the worst part? They never adjusted. They didn't think. They didn't play basketball. They played the algorithm. And for a team coached by Joe Mazzulla, this is the double-edged sword. Yes, they live by the three. Yes, they led the league in attempts this season. 48.2 per game, the most in NBA history. But when it's bad, man, it gets ugly real quick. In Game 1, that was Boston at their absolute worst. 63s jacked up. 19 of 20 shots in a single quarter were from deep. That's not just a bad offense. That's stubbornness on full display. That's doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on a plan that clearly wasn't working. And if you're a Knicks fan, oh, you were loving every second of this meltdown. New York didn't have to play great. They didn't have to dominate. They just had to sit back, play decent defense, and let Boston keep firing blanks like they were trying to set a world record. Boston lost that game not because the Knicks outclassed them, but because the Celtics beat themselves. And I hate to say it, but someone's gotta. Jason Tatum? Man, this is the version of you that Celtics fans dread. Not the aggressive slasher we saw against Orlando last round. Not the mid-range killer that had defenses sweating. No, this was the settle for everything, fallback three Tatum. And you know who loves that version? Defenses. They'll let Tatum and even guys like Anthony Edwards jack up 15 threes all night long because they know that's not pressure. That's not breaking down the defense. That's not getting paint touches, not getting to the line, not getting guys in foul trouble. That's clean, easy defense for the other team. And Boston? Man, they fell right into that trap like it was baited with free Wi-Fi. Because let's look at the numbers. Out of Boston's 97 shots in Game 1, 60 of them were threes. In the third quarter alone, 19 of 20 shots were from deep. And in the entire second half, 34 of 41. That's not an offense. That's spam clicking from beyond the arc and hoping something sticks. And newsflash, it didn't stick. It backfired. Because basketball isn't a math quiz. It's a game of rhythm, flow, and feel. And Boston played like bots. Period. Now look, nobody's saying Boston doesn't have talent. They absolutely do. Tatum, Brown, Holiday, White. This team is loaded with shooters. And when they're on, they look unbeatable. But what Game 1 exposed is the dark side of their system. When the threes don't fall, this team doesn't pivot. They don't adjust. They just keep firing like that kid at the arcade who ran out of tokens but is still pressing the shoot button. And let's be real, it wasn't just Boston. This entire playoffs, we've seen teams break records for missed threes. The Heat versus Cavs, Brickfest. Minnesota versus LA, same story. And then Boston versus New York, 45 missed threes in one night. That's not evolution, that's devolution. That's basketball turning into a bad casino game where everyone keeps pulling the lever and nobody wins. And Joe Mazzulla, man, he deserves credit for what he's built. Last year, this style won them a championship. But he's got one big flaw. He's stubborn. He's so locked into the system that when the threes aren't falling, he doesn't have a backup plan. No mid-range counters, no post-ups, no attacking the rim consistently. Just more threes, and then some more. It's like watching someone try to fix a flat tire by pumping more air into it, over and over again until the whole thing blows. And Tatum? Look, I'm not here to pile on, but the difference between Orlando around Tatum and Game 1 Tatum is night and day. Against Orlando, he was attacking the basket, using footwork, hitting mid-range fadeaways, playing like a complete scorer. But against New York, he reverted. Step back threes, early clock shots, no pressure on the defense. And NBA teams, they scout that. They want that. You think Tom Thibodeau is losing sleep when Tatum's jacking threes? Nah, he's pouring coffee and saying, let's run that back tomorrow. Because when guys like Tatum and Edwards fall in love with the deep ball, they're bailing the defense out. They're letting the defense off the hook. And that's exactly what happened here. And it wasn't just Tatum. Anthony Edwards in Game 5 against the Lakers, 11 threes, 0 makes. 0. And he wasn't attacking the paint either. He wasn't putting pressure on LA's soft interior defense. He was out there launching like it was a three-point contest and missing all of them. That's what I mean when I say basketball is becoming robotic. It's like there's an algorithm running the offense. And when the shots aren't falling, the code just says, shoot more threes. But here's the thing. There's a very thin line between being cutting edge and being clueless, between genius and moronic. In Boston in Game 1, man, they weren't even close to that line. They were miles past it. 63s, 19 to 20 shots in one quarter. That's not innovation. That's malpractice. And if they keep this up, they're not just risking a cold night. They're gambling their entire playoff run. Because you might survive one bad game, but in a 7-game series, if you go cold 4 times, you're done. You're going fishing while the other team's raising banners. And the Celtics, they're rolling the dice on that gamble. They're betting that out of 7 games, they'll be hot at least 4 times. And hey, maybe that works. Maybe they light it up and blow teams out. But when they miss, when they go 12 for 76 like some teams have this postseason, that's not just a bad night. That's the kind of meltdown that ends your season. So yeah, Boston's got the weapons. They've got the math. But basketball is more than numbers. It's rhythm. It's feel. It's knowing when to pull the 3 and when to get your hands dirty in the paint. And if Boston wants to win this series, they better remember that fast, because you can't win rings playing like bots. Period. And that's the bottom line here. Boston's not short on talent. They're short on balance. The Celtics have everything they need to win a title. Elite wings, veteran guards, solid bigs, and shooting for days. But unless they snap out of this 3-point trance and start playing real, versatile basketball, they're not going anywhere. Because in the playoffs, the game tightens up. Defenses get smarter, shots get harder, and those wide open looks from the regular season, they vanish. And when that happens, it's not about who can chuck up the most threes. It's about who can adapt, who can grind out ugly points, who can force the defense to make tough decisions. Right now, Boston's playing checkers while the playoffs demand chess. So yeah, they can still turn this around. They've got the firepower. But if they keep living and dying by the 3 with no plan B, they're not chasing banners. They're chasing disaster. And at this rate, that disaster is gaining on them fast.